Hi guys, Miss Kim here. Um, Praying is one of the most important things that we can do right now. First of all, because we need to be praying. It's a scary time. It's a scary time for our world, our country, our family. It's a time when there's scary stuff going on that we're hearing about in the news all the time. And God is in control. And so talking to God is a really important thing to do right now. We need to talk to God so that we know what to do. And when I say talking to God, I also mean listening to God. God will guide us and direct us to know what to do in this scary time. So we need to be spending time with God, listening to Him, talking with Him, telling Him how we feel, telling Him about our fears, the things we're worried about, and listening to Him so that He can give us His peace, His wisdom, so He can direct us. So that's one reason why it's really important to be spending time praying right now. The other thing is, we have more time to be able to pray now than we usually do. We're staying at home without much to do. We can't go out to, zoos and theaters, and we can't go to school. And so we have more time. So it's easier for us to make some more time to pray, to spend some time with God, to listen to Him. While we were together, in Living Inside Out especially, we were beginning to learn how to pray. And I thought it would be good for us to go back to the beginning of where we started with learning how to pray and go through those lessons again. We're going to use these magazines called Pray Kids. Okay, I've got a whole series of these magazines, and we're just going to read one each day, I think. We might miss some days, but we'll try to read one each day. We're going to start with Seeking God. Okay? So listen as I read. Do you like to play hide and seek? If you're the one seeking, you look behind every rock and tree and bush, and you don't stop until you find who you are looking for. You're totally focused on what's most important, finding the one that is hidden. Seeking God is a lot like that. You look for Him in every single thing that you do. You can't wait to uncover special moments with Him. And it's so much fun to find Him that you'll want to keep seeking Him and learning how to find Him for your whole life. Seeking and soaking. Can you imagine what it would have been like to be one of Jesus' best friends while He was here on earth? Jesus had lots of people who liked to be with Him. They liked listening to the stories He told and the way He explained the scriptures. They had never heard anyone teach the way that He did, and they had never seen anyone do the things that He did. Crowds followed Him just for a chance to see Him do a miracle. But were all these people who liked being with Jesus His best friends? The Bible tells us about some of Jesus' special friends, Mary and her sister Martha. He loved them very much. He liked to go to their house and have supper and talk. Their house was one of the places He went to get away from the big crowds that followed Him. Jesus loved both Mary and Martha, but Mary had a very special place in Jesus' heart. When Jesus came to spend time at their house, Mary would sit at His feet and hang on every word Jesus said, while Martha kept busy with cooking and cleaning. The Bible says that Mary spent her time listening to Jesus, but Martha was distracted. Martha even complained to Jesus, asking Him to make Mary help her with the dinner preparations. Jesus told Martha that Mary's choice to spend time seeking Jesus and listening to Him was the best thing. One time, Mary and Martha's brother Lazarus got very sick. The sisters sent word to Jesus asking Him to come and heal their brother. By the time Jesus arrived, however, Lazarus had died and had been in the grave already for 4 days. Mary and Martha were both very sad about their brother's death. They both talked to Jesus about it. They even said the same things. But when Mary saw Jesus, she fell at His feet. Jesus saw how very sad Mary was, and even Jesus cried. Then he did a miracle. He brought Lazarus back to life. It's no surprise that after that, many of Mary's friends put their faith in Jesus. What was the difference between Mary and Martha? Both of them spent time with Jesus. Both of them loved Jesus, and he loved them. So how did Mary become one of Jesus' best friends? The Bible tells us that Mary understood what Jesus was saying, even when his disciples didn't seem to. She didn't just listen, she took pleasure and delight in finding the hidden truth in what Jesus was saying. When Martha spent time with Jesus, she was also busy with other plans and details. When Mary was with Jesus, she listened, focused all her attention on him, and sat at his feet in worship. She was seeking God with all her heart. That's the kind of best friend Jesus is looking for. You can be one of his best friends too. Listen to him. Focus all your attention on him. Worship him. When you're seeking him with all your heart, you'll find him, and he'll find you. So to not be distracted would mean to go someplace where you're not distracted by your video games or by your pets or your brothers and sisters, where you're not distracted by the TV or anything that's going on. That might be your bed in your bedroom. It might even be in a closet if that's the only place in your house that you can find that doesn't have distractions. But you need to find somewhere where you won't be distracted and you can really focus on Jesus. Read a little bit of his word. Think about what he's saying to you in his word. Talk to him. Be quiet and listen for him to talk to you. Listen to him explain the scriptures to you. Yeah. One time, listen to this. One time, Mary saved up all the money that she had earned for a whole year to buy some expensive perfume. And then she poured it on Jesus' feet. The disciples made fun of her for doing that, but she didn't care. She knew that Jesus was going to have to die on the cross, and this would be one of the last ways that she could show him how much she loved him. It was a way to worship him. Can you think of ways that you might worship Jesus? You could draw him a beautiful picture. You could write him a poem. I think being with Jesus is what he loves the most. You could just make sure that you're spending time with him, and that's what he would love. Let's read another story about a man in the Bible named Joshua. Joshua was a young man who loved to follow Moses around, and Moses loved to spend time with God. So do you think that might have rubbed off on Joshua? Let's read about it. "May I come with you, Moses?" Joshua asked as he jumped up and fell in step with his leader. Moses was headed out of camp to the special place he had set up to meet with God. This is Moses talking. "Anyone who wants to seek God can come to the tent of meeting. That's what it's there for," beamed Moses. "Come along, my young friend." Joshua grinned. He had been working as Moses' helper ever since they started on this long journey in the desert. Joshua loved the excitement and adventure of being close to this mighty man of God. He had seen God use Moses to bring plagues on Egypt so that Pharaoh would set the Israelite slaves free. He remembered how amazing it was to walk right through the path that God opened in the Red Sea as they escaped the Egyptians. Now, all Joshua wanted to do was serve Moses well and to get to know that miracle-working God of Israel. Joshua knew that Moses talked to God face to face, just like a man talks with a friend. Joshua wanted to know God that way too. Joshua felt a shiver go down his spine as they got closer to the tent. A huge pillar of cloud started to form at the door as they entered. It was God's sign that he was there to meet with them. The cloud pillar stretched way up into the blue sky where people could see it for miles around. As soon as the Israelites saw the clouds, they came to the doors of their own tents and worshiped the Lord. Joshua sank to his knees in the cool darkness of inside the tent. He trembled at the thought of being so close to this awesome God, the God who had appeared in smoke and fire on top of Mount Sinai. That was when God met with Moses and wrote the 10 Commandments on stone. Joshua had wanted to get closer then, but only Moses was allowed to go up on the mountain to meet God. Joshua shifted and stretched a little as he remembered how stiff he had felt while he waited 40 days and 40 nights at the base of the mountain for Moses to return. Joshua closed his eyes. "Oh God, I worship you," he said quietly. He could feel the Lord's presence in the tent as Moses asked God for instructions on how to lead the people. As soon as Moses had his answers, he stood up and headed back to camp. Joshua started to follow, but then realized he did not want to go. "May I stay here, Moses? I don't want to leave," Joshua replied. Moses smiled and nodded. He knew Joshua was exactly where he needed to be. He knew Joshua's choice to seek God was the best one that he could make. Joshua's special assignment. Joshua went to the tent of meeting with Moses every day and stayed behind even after Moses left. He never seemed to tire of being in God's presence. His desire to seek God in this way made him the obvious choice when the Israelites needed trustworthy spies to check out the promised land. Because Joshua spent time seeking God and was filled with God's Spirit, he knew what God wanted for his people when others did not. When Moses died, God chose Joshua to take over as the leader of the Israelites. Because Joshua never stopped seeking God with his whole heart, God used him in special ways. When you seek God and get to know him, he will use you in special ways for his kingdom too. Not only will God be delighted that you want to know him more and more, but he will also teach you and show you things you've never even thought of. Now, back when Joshua and Moses were alive, the people could only meet with God in a special place, a special tent, and only at special times, and they had to bring special sacrifices. I am so thankful it's not like that anymore today, because Jesus sacrificed himself on the cross. He made the last sacrifice that was ever needed to tear down the barrier that was between us and God, to repair our relationship with God. So now we can be more like Adam and Eve were in the garden. They could walk and talk with God every day, and now we can do that too. We can talk to God anywhere at any time. We don't have to go to a special place or say special words or bring a special sacrifice or be in a special posture, a special way. We don't have to be flat on the floor or kneeling or lying down or standing up. We can pray any way, any place, at any time, because we have a new relationship with God that Jesus gave us when he died on the cross for us. I am very thankful for that. We can seek God every day, and I want to do that, don't you? I hope so. So find a special place in your house where you can spend time with Jesus without distractions. Like I said, it might be a closet. Why don't you today go and find a special place? You might need to clean out a special place, but a place where you can go and meet with Jesus every day. Start out with 5 minutes. Work up to 15 minutes. Lots of people find that they can spend an hour with God and it doesn't seem like any time at all. I hope that you find that too. So I'll be praying for you to have some special time with God this week. And I would like for your family to have 5 days of seeking God together. So I'm going to write out these 5 days of things to look for in the Bible together as a family, so you and your family can seek God together too by looking in his Word. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.